Why Devadatta once threw a stone at the Buddha. According to what I heard, the Buddha was surrounded by 500 great Arhats in King Anavatapta's palace, not far from a hot spring. With the exception of Ananda, all the listeners were great Arhats endowed with the 6 supernatural powers. The Buddha then addressed Sariputra. He first confided to him that, in ancient times, there was a town called Rajagra, in which lived the Sutan family, whose father was extremely wealthy. His estate was filled with gold and jewels and included many animals and a host of slaves who worked in his service. On the day of his death, this man left a substantial inheritance to his children. He had a son, Sumati, who in turn had a half-brother named Shu Yishi. Sumati, who wanted to keep all his money for himself, wondered how he could get rid of his brother. So he suggested to Shu Yishi that they visit the mountain and, on reaching the summit, negotiate the distribution of the inheritance. When they reached the top, Sumati took advantage of his half-brother's momentary inattention to throw him off the mountain. He then dropped a rock on Shu Yishi's body to ensure his death. The Buddha ended his story there, then addressed Sariputra again. Sariputra, do you know who this fortunate father was? In truth, it was the one who, in my present life, is my father. As for Sumati, that was the name I bore at the time. Finally, the one who today calls himself Devadatta was once called Shu Yishi. Sariputra, I killed my brother in the past, only because of my greed. Hell for an infinite time was the price of this bad karma. I was burned, and every movement within a mountain of metal was a stab that tore at my flesh. Now that I've become Buddha, a shadow of this bad karmic fruit still remains, forcing me to repay this karmic debt. That's why I recently passed by Grakuta mountain. As for Devadatta, he was high up in the mountains. From there, he swung a huge stone at me. The mountain spirit protected me. However, a splinter from the stone hitting the ground hit my thumb, causing it to bleed slightly. All this happened because I had once murdered my brother for the sake of money, because I had thrown the stone that killed him. Because of this, I went to hell, where I was repeatedly stabbed by the sharp teeth of the metal mountain. However, the necessary conditions are now too weak for the karma they generate to be more than a little blood drained from an inch. Karma doesn't disappear, everything remains present. That's why it's imperative to be very vigilant about what we've sown, what we're currently forming and what fruits we'll reap, so that we don't commit faults through thought, word and deed. I became Buddha, the most precious of the 3 worlds, and there, near the fountain of King Anavatapta's palace, I wanted to teach you this story. Sariputra, you see, I am Buddha because there is not a single negative karma left in me, and I have all the necessary merits within me. My teaching extends to celestial gods, dragons, spirits, kings, ministers and all sentient beings. Yet I cannot escape the abuses I have committed in the past. So consider the ordinary people for whom the fruits of liberation have yet to appear. Sariputra, teach all sentient beings this example I've shared with you, so that they may all make wise use of their thoughts, words and powers of action. A wrong thought must not be allowed to generate serious errors and then lock the mind in the throes of regret. When the Buddha had finished his sermon, the 500 Arhats, along with the king, the celestial gods and all the invisible beings who listened to him, felt great joy and committed themselves to following what they had been taught.